Hello, and welcome to the Season Long Podcast in support of the YouTube channel SeasonLongBaller. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And here's what we do with our podcast. We talk about everything NBA 2K23, Jaymont Summerz, who is our NBA 2K23 player build, and the Washington Wizards in our entire full season simulation. So if you're new to SeasonLongBaller, we are playing the entire Washington Wizards schedule in real time. We're matching their schedule, so we're mirroring their actual schedule. And we're playing the full season out. Now, we're only playing 6-minute quarters, so some of the stats that you will see are, of course, a little bit more compressed because the quarters are only 6 minutes long. But we are playing out the entire season of the Washington Wizards, and that's because we put our player build, Jaymont Summerz, on the Washington Wizards. And we'll talk a little bit more about him, and the player build is down in the description below. So taking a look at what happened in the past week for the Wizards, it opened the week on MLK with a 82-74 victory over the Golden State Warriors. We'll talk about that game in just a moment. Then a loss to the Knicks, and of course this is somewhat significant. We had beaten the Knicks pretty bad a couple of days ago, like last week. But this snapped the Wizards' 10-game winning streak. The Wizards had not lost in 2023, so yes, their last loss had been back in 2022. Was riding a 10-game winning streak, hadn't lost, like I said, in 2023, and easily the hottest team in the league at the moment. A matter of fact, you could contrast that with the Milwaukee Bucks in our league, who at the time were in the middle of a 15-game losing streak. And yeah, that's with Giannis and Middleton both healthy. Again, one of those differences in our league where players are healthy or healthy, but in real life might be injured or vice versa. But anyhow, the Knicks 102-87 victory snapped a 10-game winning streak by the Wizards. Then on the 21st, on Saturday, taking on the Magic, who again, late in 2022, we had defeated the Magic. The Magic get a measure of revenge here, defeating the Wizards 84-71. So the week we end up going 1-2. Taking a quick look at that Golden State Warriors game, just one thing I did want to mention about it in the 82-74 victory. Notice here the leading scorer in the game was Dennis Smith Jr. A little surprising because we know Smith Jr. isn't with the Warriors in real life, which I found it odd that he is on the Warriors in here in our league. And then managed, of course, to lead the team in scoring with 16 points. We never faced him, I guess, when Summerz was out of the game. Is when Smith Jr. was in the game. But interestingly, he had been getting a little bit of time with the Hornets earlier this season. But actually now, here he is with the Warriors. The other thing to note here is notice Steph Curry had a horrible game shooting 4 out of 19 from the field, 3 out of 15 from 3. We will see the Warriors again soon in Golden State. So in San Francisco. So I'm sure that Curry will not shoot that bad again in 2 consecutive games against us and at home. So we probably should be ready for the onslaught. We faced the Magic, mentioned that was the second loss in a row and ended our week at 1-2, an 84-71 loss to the Magic. Summerz with a bad game, but one of the things I did want to highlight, despite the fact that that I didn't shoot well in that game, 4 out of 12 overall, notice that of the plus-minus, Summerz had the highest plus-minus on the team at +2 in what ended up being a 13-point loss. So I guess outside of shooting the ball too much, like I always joke about, I did have a positive impact in the game, right? Can I draw that? But anyhow, that was the one thing I did want to mention there in that game. Notice, too, that the Wizards shot only 40% from the field, 30% from 3, and even missed a few free throws, but did get more free throw attempts than the Magic did. One other mention in this game is that Isaac did play for the Magic, but he is actually injured in real life. So again, one of those differences that we sometimes talk about in our little simulation versus the actual NBA. Taking a look at the team standings right now, the Wizards are riding high, 34-12. Yes, they have lost 2 games in a row, but that is still best record in the conference. And you see trailing the 76ers. The 76ers are trailing the Wizards. Also of note, the third place team there, the Hawks, we have not faced them yet. Even though they are in our division, we have not faced the Hawks yet. And the one time we faced the Cavaliers, which was the third game of the season back in October, the Cavaliers demolished us. So it'll be interesting to play the Cavaliers again. We won't see the Heat again. We played them like 3 games out of 4 back in, that was, I think, November. We won't see the Heat again until I think it's the second or last game of the season. And right now we hold a 2-1 series lead on the Miami Heat. Looking at the power rankings, the Wizards are number 1. Again, probably not much of a surprise. That, again, was last week. So that's before those 2 losses that we were going to take to the Knicks and the Magic. The Clippers, who we split with, are the number 2 in this power ranking. And most notably here, number 3 in the power ranking is the Mavericks, who we will be playing, who is actually our next game. So that will be interesting. Remember, we did play the Mavericks before in Washington, but the key fact there was that Luka Doncic was injured at the time. So it will be very interesting when we face the Mavericks again, because this could be a very significant battle as you see the Mavericks again are the 3rd ranked tier team in the power rankings. Taking a look at something we haven't kind of done for a lot of the season, just looking at the team leaders for the Wizards. Obviously in scoring, the guy who shoots the ball the most, the point guard, Jaymont Summerz. 6'5" player build out of William & Mary, point guard. In case you did not know, we built him based on the rest of his NBA 2022 draft mates. So Banchero was number 1 in the draft class. He was a 78 at the time. Chet Holmgren, I think, was a 78. So we couldn't make Summerz better than they were. And Summerz was a 78 at the build. But as we've gone along in the season, as you see, Summerz has improved a little bit. He is now at 80 overall, and he leads the Wizards in scoring at 16.9 a game. Leading rebounder is Porzingis, who you know is 3rd in the MVP voting right now in the league. It'll be interesting to see how long that holds up. Summerz is 4th, by the way. And Porzingis leads the team in rebounds at 6 a game. Summerz leads the team in assists at 4.6 assists a game. That number has gone up a little bit since the beginning of the season as we have gotten better at running the pick and roll. And here recently, we've even gotten better at running the pick and roll with different players. We've tried running the pick and roll between Summerz and Beal, for example, instead of always going big, small with our pick and rolls. Finally, here in steals, Will Barton leads the team in steals, coming off the bench at just slightly more than half a steal a game at 0.6. And even though I am not going to highlight it here, but we know that Porzingis leads the team in blocks, as you see it there, at 2.1 blocks a game. And that is also the best mark in the league. And that mark is also helping Porzingis lead right now in Defensive Player of the Year votes. So taking a look at, first, let's take a look at the Jaymont Summerz highlight of the week. We hadn't done that in a little while, and I think this one will come from the Golden State Warriors game. Now pick and roll with Hachimura. Summerz comes down the lane, gets fouled by Wiseman, and completes the 3-point play. He was in the G League for a moment, but is he back up with the Warriors now? I don't think he is. Yeah, went back and did the little slow motion replay there on Summerz getting the 3-point play against the Warriors. All right, taking a look at the schedule for next week. We've already talked about that game coming up against the Mavericks. That will be a very interesting game as 2 of the better teams in our NBA go face-to-face. This game will be in Dallas, and Luka will play, and that's coming up tomorrow, actually, on Tuesday. Then we're going to basically do the Texas two-step here, as we've got the Rockets on Wednesday, very next day, going back-to-back after facing the Mavericks in Dallas, facing the Rockets in Houston, and we will end the week on Saturday against the Pelicans. Again, a team that we've played just recently in Washington, defeated the Pelicans. We'll see if we can defeat the Pelicans this time. Zion gave us, he gives the league problems, of course, but he gave us problems. So we'll see if he gets a little bit more help in this game and they manage to get a victory against the Wizards. So that's going to do it for this edition. This is our season-long podcast number 12. Thank you very much for listening. We do these every Monday, and again, we try to talk about Jaymont Summerz, the things in our NBA 2K league that are slightly different than, of course, the actual league, which there are lots of differences, and just in general NBA information or things, again, that kind of relate to our league. Thank you very much for listening again. We will be seeing you tomorrow. SeasonLongBaller takes on the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas. So we hope to see you there. And if you like what we do here, give us that like and subscribe. It is much appreciated. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.